Neverness to Everness, also known as NTE, is a brand new free-to-play open-world action RPG that's turning heads for a good reason. It's being developed by Hada Studio, and it's running on Unreal Engine 5. You might recognize this team from Tower Fantasy, but make no mistake, Neverness to Everness is nothing like its predecessor. Instead of a sci-fi fantasy vibe, NTE grounds itself in a supernatural urban city called Heathrow, where you play as an appraiser investigating anomalies, unlocking mystical Esper abilities, and getting involved in a mix of mystery, action, and a surprising amount of comedy. But the closed beta for said game is almost here, and there's a lot to cover, from the world design to combat systems to what players can actually do in this early test. Well, this is your complete primer before stepping foot into this new world. With this, if you liked or learned something from today's video, like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, let's break down everything you need to know about Neverness to Everness. Now to start, let's talk about the closed beta. The closed beta officially begins on July 3rd, but depending on your time zone, it could actually drop during the evening of July 2nd. It kind of just depends on where you live. Now to be clear, this test will only be available on PC for now, but never fear, as the developers have already confirmed that the full launch will be multi-platform. Now to be clear, your progress during this beta will not carry over, and all data will be wiped after the test ends. But in terms of the selection process and who has access to the game, players were selected through a sign-up process hosted by the developers, in addition to a number of other methods including live streams, Twitch drops, etc, etc. If you made the cut, you should have received an official email containing your download link and beta login credentials. And as for language support, this beta already comes fully equipped with what you'd expect, including English, Japanese, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese. Now voiceovers are also available in all three main languages, which is honestly pretty cool in terms of a beta release. Now although no official system requirements have been released, based on the fact that this game is running on Unreal Engine 5, you'll likely need a pretty modern setup. Keep in mind, however, that the devs are already in the process of upgrading the game to Unreal Engine 5.5, which also includes support for Megalight and enhanced RTX lighting tech. Now, as a reminder as well, this beta is also partially a performance test, so you should expect FPS drops, texture loading quirks, and some other jank while playing the game. Really, it's all part of the process. Now, in terms of the actual gameplay itself, at the start of the beta, you take control of an appraiser, as mentioned earlier, and for now, character select is likely limited to a handful of fixed characters. You'll likely have options like Nonali, Mint, Sakiri, and Adler, and with this, you'll likely be introduced to or have access to playing these characters once the game actually releases. Now, while the full release will likely give you more customization in terms of your character, the current beta, again, is focused on testing gameplay systems, not necessarily character customization, so expect a more preset experience with predefined roles and abilities, at least for now. Now let's talk about the world itself. Heathrow, or Heathrow, whichever you'd prefer to call it, is the game's setting, and it's one of the most technically ambitious parts of Neverness to Everness. This is a seamless open world game with zero loading screens between city streets, interior spaces, combat zones, or vehicle travel, and this means you can literally walk from a busy intersection into a back alley fight, then hop into your car and drive to the next destination without a single transition, cut, or load. Now the city itself is also alive with dynamic NPCs, weather, and a full day-night cycle that affects not just visuals but also gameplay. And to give a specific example, driving physics and traffic behavior will also change based on weather, while certain anomalies may also only appear under certain conditions. Businesses also open and close depending on schedules, and exploring Heathrow means uncovering a lot of the story that the game has to offer. Now in terms of combat, the combat in NTE is pretty action-based and fluid, and it does feel pretty familiar to a lot of the more modern and appreciated gacha games as of late. You'll fight in real time with a third-person camera view and the ability to swap between characters mid-fight, and with this, each character brings unique abilities which can then be chained together using the Esper cycle system. This is essentially a synergy mechanic where using abilities in a particular order will trigger powerful reactions, similar to element combos and other ARPGs, but grounded in a more paranormal aesthetic. Now, environmental interaction is also a big part of the game, as some abilities are enhanced or altered by the anomalies present in a location. This means you can expect certain boss fights that require more than just dodging and attacking, and early bosses already demonstrate how visual storytelling is being woven into the combat design. These enemies truly are thematic, strange, otherworldly, and feel deeply tied to the lore of the game's world. Now, outside of combat, NTE does give you plenty to do in your downtime. You can walk, take public transport, drive, or even use your powers to move throughout the city. For example, Nonali has an anti-gravity Esper that lets her float or glide over obstacles, and vehicles are a major gameplay system. They can be customized, damaged, repaired, and even used in racing events or mission-based travel. But this goes even deeper. There's also a pretty life sim-esque aspect to it. You'll be able to buy and decorate property, generally live your own urban life, and overall, it's not just about fighting supernatural beings, it's about existing in a city that feels more lived in and responsive as opposed to more artificial. Now let's talk specifically about what what this beta will be testing. First and foremost, we'll be testing the world streaming tech, and this means monitoring how smoothly the game transitions between interiors and exteriors, and how combat and vehicle movement interact with the open world. They're also gathering data on how players use the Esper cycle, how readable and how appreciable the UI and tutorials are, and whether the game's core gameplay loop actually feels intuitive. Now, vehicle systems such as the physics, collision, and repair mechanics are also under active development, so don't be surprised if the devs ask for targeted feedback on how all of this feels to control. Now, in terms of the community feedback and known issues, according to recent posts by the devs on social platforms, they've already implemented a number of changes based on early internal tests and limited community input. Animations are being smoothed out, targeting systems have been overhauled, and visual clutter in combat has been reduced. They've also added improvements to the minimap and fast travel systems based on feedback about confusing navigation, and overall the UI is being streamlined to feel better on both PC and mobile, with features like FOV sliders, camera zoom options, and graphic presets being adjusted for accessibility. So if you're in the beta, as a reminder, make sure to report bugs and give feedback through the in-game tools or community channels, as the devs are actively listening. Now, in terms of narration, although no exact beta rewards have been confirmed yet, players who complete specific goals or submit feedback are likely to receive recognition or bonuses once the game launches, and whether that's cosmetics, resources, or early access perks, we're not entirely sure yet, but you should definitely keep an eye out, as many games like this tend to do so. Now, looking forward, Hada Studio also has big plans for the world of Heathrow, and new areas like New Herland are already in development. More characters like Edgar are also being teased, customization will expand, more changes for the characters will also be planned, and even multiplayer features are on the roadmap. What we're seeing right now really is just a prologue. With this, guys, Neverness to Everness is shaping up to be one of the most exciting, unique open world RPGs that we've seen in recent years. It's stylish, definitely experimental, and bold in ways that few games tend to currently be, blending slice of life with gacha and also urban city life. Whether you're here for the flashy combat, the supernatural storytelling, or the quirky elements of exploration, the closed beta will be your first taste if you're lucky enough to get in. So with this, dive in, explore everything that the game has to offer, break the systems, and most importantly, have fun shaping what this game will become. That's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. If this breakdown helped or taught you something, like, comment, or subscribe. But as always, I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.